Welcome to today's edition of the Rush 24/7 podcast.
And greetings to you, music lovers, thrill seekers, conversationalists, debate aficionados all across the fruited plain. You are tuned where every American is. You've heard what everybody thinks about the debate last night, but you don't know what to think yet because you haven't heard what I think. Right? Come on, admit it. You know that's true. Telephone number 800-282-2882 and the email address lrushbo@eibnet.com. You know, I thought about teasing you. And I thought about saying, you know what, I'm going to reserve my thoughts until I hear from you because once I say something, there's nothing left to be said. And I thought that would be a dastardly trick. By the way, folks, I'm in a relatively good mood. I don't know what would spoil it. Maybe something could, but I love the kind of day we are having here. It's like nighttime out there. It is cloudy. It is rainy. It is so bad the DirecTV signal's in and out. And I don't have a window. So I have to sit here and have that's for security reasons and distraction reasons. But, man, I love these kinds of days. Cozy. The only problem is it's like 110 degrees out there. You want a day like this to be in the 40s or 50s. Anyway, okay. I'll tell you here, just some stream of consciousness thoughts. Overall, and I'm going to back all this up with detail in a moment, the overall view of the night is that not a whole lot is going to change because of what happened last night. Not a whole lot. Meaning Trump's still going to be in the lead when it's all said and done. CNN's going to have had a huge audience. I'm now beginning to question about this. I'm not sure it's just Trump driving these audiences for these Republican debates. More on that as the program unfolds. But I mean, if from the let me qualify that. From if you're a Trump supporter, last night was no harm, no foul. Nothing happened last night to damage Trump significantly. And I don't think anything is going to. If Trump is to eventually fade away, it's not going to happen overnight anyway. It's not going to happen because of one thing. We know that now. There's no such thing as Trump stepping in it. It's going to. If there's anything that causes Trump supporters to leave it, I know that sounds like blasphemy to you Trump supporters. But if there's anything that's going to cause that to happen, I don't know what it is, but it's going to be slow and gradual. There's going to be this earthquake moment. And I say that because the regime in the Republican Party is looking for that to happen. I mean, the RNC, the Republican establishment, they want a singular event to happen that takes Trump out and be done with him. And I don't think that's going to happen. If there is to be, and I'm not predicting it, so don't, hold on to your cookies. I'm just saying if. If it happens, it's going to be gradual. I actually, watching that debate last night, I thought at times I was actually watching 11 of Me. These people were fabulous last night on that stage. I mean, not everybody, there's some exceptions here and there, but man, that was something to be proud of last night. You know that CNN went in there. I don't care what else they maybe want to take Trump out, but there's no way CNN wants our people to look good. I got so fed up, almost turned it off in the first hour. Every question was, all right, Ms. Fiorina, Mr. Trump said you're looking like a horse. What's your reaction? Mr. Trump, Ms. Fiorina says you know what you're talking about. What's your reaction? Mr. Walker, Governor Walker, Rand Paul says that you don't even know what you're talking about. What is your reaction? Everything was, and I hate that. When I'm interviewed by the media and they throw critics' comments, so screw this. Why do I have to respond to why don't you ask me a question that you actually want the answer to? Why have to throw these other comments that these people I don't even care about? So another reason, one of the many, I stopped doing interviews with people because all it was. It just and this debate last night started out that way, but these people rose above it. Chris Christie came out of the grave and once again sounded like a conservative last night. Carly Fiorina, she goes back. Carly Fiorina is a rhino in many ways. In her past, she was in the McCain campaign. She 2 years ago criticized Ted Cruz for government shutdown activity and so forth. And I've been touting Carly ever since this whole process began. She is obviously very smart and committed and energetic and so forth. And she's right on so much of what she says. And I remember touting her. She went back to it last night talking about the character of this country and how we're losing that when she brilliantly combined the answer to Planned Parenthood and Iran. I thought it was well done. It was very conservative. But Carly, you go back to 2008, and she was right in there with Meg Whitman and McCain and so forth, part of the Rhino Caucus. So but there's a lot of conservatism on that stage last night. I thought Marco was great. I thought I thought Cruz was good, but I don't know. I feel uncomfortable here passing out advice. It's not my business, and why do they care what I think? So I just don't ask me about individuals. I mean, that's not where I want to go right now. We'll get to that. Well, I am not the titular head of the party anymore. You can't. In no world am I the titular head of this Republican Party. I'm not the phony head. I'm not the real head. I'm not any. Or maybe the titular head of the conservative movement. But I just want to make some general observations here. I really thought that there was a lot of conservatives. There was a time I thought that I was watching 11 Rush Limbaughs last night. Trump, whatever else you want to say, has clearly moved many of the other candidates to the right, and not just on the subject of illegal aliens. You see how feathers got ruffled last night. Trump, if it weren't for me, nobody would be talking about it. Mr. Trump, we've been talking about this for 25 years, Mr. Trump. So they all... And Mr. Trump, you haven't been leading anybody in anything. We've been out here, we've been sweating, toiling away, we've been working. Well, you're not leading anybody. But all that means is that there's now a genuine competition to move where? To the right. They might not be touting the word conservative. I was also pleasantly surprised by the number of people that tried to link themselves to Ronaldus Magnus last night, which makes sense because they were at the Reagan Library. I'm not complaining about this, by the way. I think it's great for the American public to hear conservatism being espoused, even if for some people it's just a matter of political expedience. I'm not saying all of those people on the stage are genuine conservatives. Don't misunderstand. But I'm saying they were talking it, and it's great for the American people to see that, compared to what exists on the other side. And that's why I say I'm not sure Trump is the only driver of ratings for these debates. Clearly a factor, don't misunderstand. But I'm wondering, with as much as we're learning of the dissatisfaction so many Americans have with the status quo, no matter what you say about low information voters, they still know that the Republican Party is the opposition party. What they think of it may be something we'd rather not deal with, but they know that it is. In other words, they know that if you want to go to find out what other people think about what's happening, the Republican Party's where to go. And so you have a debate on CNN last night of Republican candidates. It could well be, and I'm looking at this as a positive, folks, not trying to take anything away from Trump here, that there could be just a general wide and varied interest in anything other than what's going on now because there's so much dissatisfaction with it. And that could be a factor. Now, of course, as I predicted, CNN did their best to get the other candidates to attack Trump. And we knew this going in. We knew this was going to happen. In fact, we'd heard rumblings and even mentioned that it was Carly Fiorina's assignment last night to take out Trump. I don't think there needed to be an assignment. Once you call her a horse face, that kind of takes care of Carly being set up to take out Trump. What do you think of that, Snerdley? What do you think of the way she did that? You think that was yeah, you know what it illustrated? Brevity is the soul of wit. That answer, what was 27 words, 12 words, not a big, long dissertation. And how do you think Trump looked when he said, by the way, she's beautiful? Well, I tell you what, we got a soundbite coming. Gloria Borger was so offended by that. It was the ultimate pander for Trump to look at Carly after all this and call her beautiful. Borger just livid over that, proving you can't win. You just can't win. Stick with the original claim and then take whatever you get from that, but don't. You'd think more men would have learned this by now. According to the people who track these things, 44% of the questions in the second debate were about Trump. Do you believe that? Does that surprise you when I give you that stat? I mean, it doesn't surprise you? 44% of the questions were about Trump. And how about Christie? Christie getting all, hey, Carly, hey, Donald, you're great people. We don't care about your careers. We care about their careers. And that is the only time Fiorina got flustered. That and HP. When Hewlett-Packard was brought up, and next they're going to bring up Lucent. They didn't get to Lucent much later. Yeah, but he didn't get it. That's the next thing. Fortune magazine did a whole profile on Lucent. It's not pretty. They did a hit. Not now. It's an old hit piece. Yeah. Fortune did a piece on Carly at Lucent. I'm just telling you this stuff's all coming. But that's the only time she got flustered. She blinked. She's very proud of her time at Hewlett-Packard. She knows it's one of those things that has a life of its own. The fact she bombed out and failed, and it's tough to. No, I didn't bomb out and fail. Let me try to tell you. Steve Jobs even called it. It's like trying to discredit somebody with hypocrisy. It doesn't work anymore. You can point out all the hypocrisy in the world, and well, okay. For example, it'd be like back in the 80s, people trying to discredit Reagan because he was once a Democrat. It wouldn't work. It didn't matter. It's like if you try to discredit Dr. Krauthammer by saying he once voted for Mondale, it's not going to matter because that's then, this is now. Yeah. I think Dr. Krauthammer worked on the Mondale campaign back in 1984. I'm not sure if he voted or not, but yeah. But the point is that pointing that out now it's not going to discredit Dr. Krauthammer or anybody else. My only point is hypocrisy is not a way of getting people to change their mind. It never does work on our side anyway. Trying to point out the hypocrisy of the left never works. It's frustrating to a lot of people, but it never does. And well, see, Sturdley's asking me, what did I think about the other questions, the non-Trump questions, the climate change question? Well, I've blown a gasket during that. When I'm sure you're thinking, as you're watching, that Rush is blowing a gasket. Because they all accepted the premise. I think Rubio's answer was right on the money. Okay, fine. But the Democrat solution, why would we want to destroy our economy? Maybe that's the way to do this. I mean, there's no way. Here's a great example. I don't care what ammunition you have. You are not going to convince Jacob Tapper that global warming is a manufactured political issue by the American and worldwide left. You're not going to convince him. He believes it's real. And so to every other, my little tech bloggers, they all think it's real. There is no fact. There is no amount of data that is going to persuade them that they're wrong about it. There's mountains of it, and it doesn't matter. 18 and a half years, no temperature increase. Now you got Jerry Brown out there saying this drought is global warming, and it's only going to get worse, and he wants new taxes for it. So the way Rubio went about it last night was very smart. Rather than get into an argument, which I would have done, I wouldn't have accepted the premise. Global warming thing's a scam. But the way Rubio did it was to attack their solution as making it worse. And why do we want to punish people? Why do we want to punish our economy when we're the only ones who are going to be doing it? Other polluters, blah, blah, the Chi-Coms and the Indians are not going to change anything. But that question, it was also understandable. Remember, that CNN asking these questions. And CNN, as an entity, believes in climate change. You have to. Climate change global warming, climate change is one of these issues you have to believe in if you are going to be a Democrat or a liberal. You can't not believe in it and be a liberal Democrat. And then, of course, some people are calling it Trump's flip-flop on Carly's appearance. Now thinks that she's beautiful. CNN got that on record, by the way. It's now on videotape that Donald Trump thinks Carly Fiorina is beautiful. You know, when they were going through the end of the debate, choose your Secret Service code name. You thought that was lame? Yeah. It's those are tough questions. It's like name your top 10 favorite movies. Oh, my gosh, I'm freezing. I can't even think of one. But did you hear what hers was? You don't remember what hers? Yeah, it was a one-worder. Carly Fiorina's Secret Service code word. Secretariat. That's right. I think she was baiting Trump into making another untoward joke. Secretariat's a champion horse. Triple Crown winner. You know, with my hearing, when I first heard her, I thought she said secretary. And I thought, what? And then I figured out secretariat. Put it all together. Baiting Trump. Make another face comment. Okay, sit tight, folks. We got more. Don't go. Welcome back. It's great to have you, Rush Limbaugh, on the cutting edge of societal evolution. Yeah, I've got a whole lot of audio sound bites from the debate. I'm thinking everybody saw them, saw the debate. Maybe not all of you. Here, grab 7 and 8. I referenced these two just a moment ago, so I can knock these out. Maybe number 9 too. This is last night in the debate. This is the moderator, Jacob Tapper. In an interview last week in Rolling Stone magazine, Donald Trump said the following about you. Quote, "Look at that face. Would anybody vote for that? Can you imagine that? The face of our next president?" Mr. Trump later said he was talking about your persona, not your appearance. Please feel free to respond what you think about his persona.
It's interesting to me, Mr. Trump said that he heard Mr. Bush very clearly and what Mr. Bush said. I think women all over this country heard very clearly what Mr. Trump said.
I think she's got a beautiful face, and I think she's a beautiful woman.
Okay. I think she's got a beautiful face. I think she's a beautiful woman. As I mentioned to you, Gloria Borger not pleased at all about this last night after the debate on Anderson Cooper 360.
How big a mistake do you think it was for Donald Trump to come back to Carly Fiorina, say, actually,
Terrible.
I think you do have a beautiful face?
Terrible. First rule of Hull, stop digging. That's what I think. I mean, it was so patronizing.
It was not sincere, she's saying. It was patronizing. He didn't mean it. He should have stuck with what he originally said and not said anything, let the applause go by, and just let it sort of fade away on its own rather than give it more food, give it more energy. But say, beautiful face, beautiful this. Now, this may be a generational thing. My guess is that you're going to find, depending on the age of the person, you're going to find a difference of opinion here. Some people are going to think that what Trump did was a valiant attempt at apologizing, covering up a mistake. Others are going to agree with Gloria Borger. It was an absolute patronizing comment. Shouldn't have said it because it doesn't look like he really means it or any of that. And on the Today Show today, Savannah Guthrie said, when you say that women in this country heard what Donald Trump said and knew what he meant, let me push you on that a little farther. What do you think women heard when Donald Trump said that about you?
Women are still caricatured and scrutinized and criticized differently. And I think it's only a woman who would be criticized for her appearance while running for the highest office in the land. And so I think women know that. Women deal with that every day. And so I think women understood.
You know, I don't know if that's necessarily maybe publicly voiced. There might be something to it. But how many? What are you talking? What do you mean there might be? What are you arguing? You don't even know what I'm going to say yet. Okay. I know, the fat jokes with Christie. This is going to be my point. But now we've reached another obscene profit break. So keep your pants up, folks. We'll be back here in just a second. And we're back. El Rushmo on the cutting edge of societal evolution. So Gloria Borger's all offended. Look at who she's offended at. So here's Donald Trump says something about Carly Fiorina's face. Then he's called on it, does a flip-flop, and says she's beautiful. Gloria Borger righteously indignant. If you don't want to get indignant, don't ask the question. Deal with the debate moderator here. You guys got exactly what you wanted in that exchange. And then to complain about getting it is kind of disingenuous to me. And this is what bothers me about the drive-bys. They knew exactly what they wanted last night. They want exactly what happened. And then they get it, and they start complaining about it. It was pandering. Meanwhile, the genuine horn dog in chief is out there skating along happily, mindlessly, with no criticism whatsoever, and that's William Jefferson Clinton. And the same people bothered by whatever Trump did or didn't say, and then came back and didn't say or did say, same people applaud Bill Clinton, marvel at what a great guy he is, and it's a double standard that continues to irritate me left and right. If you don't want the answer, Miss Borger, if you don't like it, then don't go there. I thought it was terribly painful. What do you think was going to happen when that comes up? This is what bothers me about these people. This is what bothers me about choosing CNN as a venue. Although I don't know where you go now to do one of these debates. But if you got to know certain things are going to happen at CNN, and one of these things is going to happen is exactly what happened. This debate was designed to make as many of those people on the stage look foolish as possible. And I don't want to hear about me hosting it. I don't want to go there. I wouldn't be any good at it. You people that want me to host one of these things have got to get over it. I wouldn't be any good at it. Because I don't want to do it. If you don't want to do something, you're not going to do it well. And I have no desire to do. I'm not. Believe me. Just believe me. It wouldn't work. I couldn't keep my own opinions out of it. I'd end up dominating a damn thing. It would be panned. It would be ripped to shreds. I destroy the debate. I couldn't do it. Not that curious anyway. What I think is what counts, and that's what I'm looking for. Other people who agree with me. I'm not looking for people to change my mind on something. I know I'm right. I've spent my life arriving at the conclusions I have on the things that matter. I don't want to subject myself to somebody to try to change my mind. So what do I want to do that for? That's not what it's about, Mr. Limbaugh. You're there to have those people's opinions spread, and you're to elucidate what they think. I already know what they think. Anyway, I'm just telling you, I'm flattered. Snerdley tells me Twitter was a fire last night with this suggestion. In Snerdley's world, Twitter being a fire could be 5 tweets if they are about me. Now, on this, seriously, folks, here you have the Carly Fiorina and Trump situation, and everybody knew, they didn't know when, but everybody knew it was going to happen. And for the media to start, I really don't like them. That's just terrible. If you don't like what the answer is going to be, then don't even go there. It's just kind of disingenuous. You sit there and you build it up, and you telegraph it, get all excited, can't wait for the debate to happen. Then when it does, and exactly what you want to happen happens, that's such a horrible answer. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think Trump was going to continue to insult her when it came up? Maybe they did. Maybe that's what they were trying to, I don't know. But despite that, these people look good last night. Folks, whenever there's conservatism on display, genuine, passionate conservatism, I'm happy. And it was all over the place last night, despite whatever efforts there were to make these people look bad. And I'm not saying, I know some people, you talk about being bombarded on Twitter. My email is bombarded. People thought this debate was great last night compared to other debates that they have seen. They thought this was fabulous last night. And you know why? if there was one common theme in all the email praise that I got about this, it was that the candidates were allowed to speak. That there weren't a whole lot of assertions of time limit, expiration, and that kind of thing. And that's probably a pretty good observation. Let me grab a quick call as we get started on this and try to meld everything. Folks, by the way, there's other things that what Barack Obama has done regarding this upcoming visit by the Pope. You seen this? Have you seen the guest list that he's invited to the White House to meet the Pope? Well, let me just share with you. The White House, Obama has invited several opponents of Catholicism and Catholic teaching to meet and greet Il Papa in person. He's going to have a nun who is pro-abortion. He's going to have a transvestite in there, a cross-dressing woman and former co-chairman of the Transgender Caucus for Dignity, a pro-abortion religious sister, an openly gay Episcopal bishop, and 2 Catholic gay activists. This is the group Obama has personally invited to the White House to meet the Pope. Now, some people are saying that this is perfectly Obama. He's got the Pope coming, and he wants to insult the Pope, put pressure on the Pope, and challenge the Pope, because the Catholic Church, and Obama's a leftist, and the leftists hate the Catholic Church. Do not doubt me on that. The Catholic Church is in the top 5 of all-time biggest enemies to the American left, the worldwide left. And so here is in one possibility, it is a designed effort to humiliate, challenge, make nervous, make uncomfortable the Pope. However, there's another possibility. What if, and I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility, what if the Pope has requested a group like this? That, if I were to be told that, it would give me pause, but I would not be totally surprised. I'm not at all surprised that Obama would do this as an in-your-face gesture to the Pope. That doesn't surprise me at all. And I got to thinking, would I be surprised if somebody told me, no, this is who the Pope wants to be there? You're frowning. You don't think that could be possible, do you? Then you aren't paying attention to what's happening out there. Anyway, to the phones, as I promised, Jerry in Dayton, Ohio. Great to have you on the EIB network. Hello, sir.
Hi, Russ. It's an honor.
Thank you very much.
When Carly was asked that question about the presidential code names, once again, you inadvertently gave her the answer. The other day, you were discussing the situation with Jeb Bush and his strategy of running steady and coming on late, and then you closed that story with, you can do that except when you're running against Secretariat.
Right.
Secretariat won't quit, won't stop, and will win. Keep running till the end. I think Carly was picking Secretariat to show you she's going to run till the end, or at least the Republican Party. She's going to be the representative of the Republican Party.
I wasn't going to mention this because I don't want people to think I'm lost in my own ego here. But I noticed this. I remembered I made that exact comparison. I wondered if anybody would remember this. And here you are, the first caller of the day. I did. It was recently too. It was somebody just asking me to analyze Bush's strategy. It's exactly as you said. I said you.
Well, I think she. I don't mean to interrupt you. Sorry. I think that she had that little glint in her eye that she knows that's the winner to beat. That's the code name to beat, and you threw it out there first, so you get 100% kudos for that one.
There you go. Well, who am I to say that he's wrong, folks? I mean, I'm trying polite to callers here, so thank you very much, Jer. Quick timeout. We'll be back influencing things in the debate, even when I don't know I am. Okay, grab soundbite number 3. This is a prediction that I made going into the debate last night. I said it yesterday on this program. Somebody's going to have some sort of secret bit of information about Trump that we haven't heard before that they're going to accuse him of. Or they're going to run a list of names by him and make him defend his relationship with them or his knowledge of them. Or some such gotcha technique as that. And, of course, it did happen, as Jeb Bush accused Trump of trying to bribe him. Set up legalized gambling in Florida. Audio soundbite number 5. This is from the debate last night. Moderator Jacob Tapper said, Governor Bush, Mr. Trump has repeatedly said that the $100 million you've raised for your campaign makes you a puppet to your donors. Are you?
No, absolutely not. The one guy that had some special interest that I know of that tried to get me to change my views on something that was generous and gave me money was Donald Trump. He wanted casino gambling in Florida.
I didn't want
Yes, you did.
Totally false.
You wanted it, and you didn't get it because I was opposed to casino gambling before, during, and after. I'm not going to be bought by anybody.
I promise if I wanted it, I would have gotten it.
I tell you, folks, whenever this stuff happens, I just end up laughing. And if I would have wanted it, I would have gotten it. Meanwhile, here's everybody flailing away on the facts of the matter. Let's jump back to soundbite number 4. This is Roger Stone. He was on Fox and Friends this morning, and he's a former Trump campaign senior advisor. He's been gone, I think, for since the middle of August. But Steve Ducey said, "What about Jeb? Jeb was ready with that. You came to me and asked me about trying to get casino gambling in Florida. Did it happen, Roger?"
Having been directly involved in that, let me say that the efforts by Trump to explore casino gaming in Florida happened under Lawton Chiles, not under Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush's position was so well known from the campaign that Trump's efforts ceased under the previous governor. Mallory Horn, the lobbyist hired to do that, was a Democrat close to Lawton Chiles, Jeb's predecessor.
So Trump is right on this. According to Roger Stone, it was Lawton Chiles, walking Lawton, who, by the way, was no dreamboat himself. And it was him that apparently Trump tried to convince to legalize gambling in the state of Florida. It was not Jeb. Now we move back to Trump. After all of this, Trump had his own words.
A lot of money was raised by a lot of different people that are standing up here, and the donors, the special interests, the lobbyists have very strong power over these people. I'm spending all of my money. Nobody has control of me other than the people of this country. I'm going to do the right thing.
Now, this little thing that happened last night, we had a caller yesterday on this program who offered an opinion that if Trump would continue to make this point and to highlight this point and to continue to point out that every one of his opponents is bought and paid for by special interest money, donors, the donor class, or what have you, that he could wrap this up in one night. That the only problem with it is that going forward, how many people do we have in this country independently wealthy enough to fund their own campaigns, willing to do so? So his suggestion was that Trump, in addition to all that, have a suggestion for changing the campaign finance system. Now, this segment in the debate last night was kind of made murky by all the crosstalk that occurred when it was being discussed by Trump and by some of the other candidates, most predominantly Jeb. But it is my humble opinion that amongst those who have really locked on to Trump, this is another one of the big reasons that I think a lot of people in the establishment haven't quite yet really figured out. They know, for example, that Trump's position on illegal immigration and the way he talks about it, the way he characterizes it, they know that is the number one reason that Trump has as many loyalists as he does. But this is a close second, and it's not talked about much. But I mean, from the standpoint of voters, not inside the Beltway, the standpoint of the average ordinary American voter, they're fed up with this money system. They are fed up. It's not just that campaign finance needs to be reformed. They are fed up with being aced out by the so-called donor class. People who are supporting Trump in large part are fed up that ideas do not seem to matter anymore, because to them, ideas are what it should all be about. It shouldn't be about somebody's appearance, but TV age, it's going to be. And by the way, remind me, I've got to delve further on this appearance business. As I promised to do that 30 minutes ago, and I got sidetracked. I'll make a note to myself, too, because I think everybody does it. Whether they say it or not, everybody is judging every one of those people based on how they look to them. Everybody is. It's just something you don't say. Well, Trump said it. Ooh, that's uncouth. Ooh, that's just not done. Ooh, that's inappropriate and so forth. But everybody thinks these things. Maybe not the same thing about everybody, but everybody has opinions of the way everybody looks. It's one of those things that's never going to change, and you can't wipe it out of the human brain. You can't legislate it out. You can't penalize it out. You can't, with political correctness, get rid of it. It's just a fact. And in a televised world, it matters more than ever in politics. And a lot of people really resent that and really wish it were about ideas, because it's ideas that are ruining the country, the wrong ideas. And the right ideas can't seem to compete with all this money. So Trump focusing on it, I think it has a much larger impact in solidifying his support than a lot of people are aware. And it's been I think a relatively slow realization on the part. It was just as recently as 2007, don't forget, that the American people en masse, with faxes and emails and phone calls, were able to change congressional action on comprehensive immigration reform. 2007, 8 years ago. That's not that far ago. 8 years ago, public opinion was able to stop Congress in its tracks. Today it can't. Public opinion can't override the money. And that has people just as frustrated, too. So those of you who think Trump didn't do as well as you had hoped, he did in this area, and it's one of the top 5 that matters to a lot of his. Have you heard about the kid that was sent home from school for making a clock and then been invited to the White House? Wait till you see what this clock this kid made looks like. It's not like the pictures the drive-by media is showing you, folks. So that's coming up, and a lot of other stuff, too. Hi, folks. Great to have you back. Rush Limbaugh, doing what I was born to do. That's why I'm having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have. That's Sir Ray Bob here at the EIB Network, Excellence in Broadcasting, the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. If you want to be on the program, it's 800-282-2882. Everybody on hold, I want you to hang in there and be tough. You're on hold for a reason. I really want to get to you, and we will in due course. Again, if you missed the first hour, the overview of the debate, as far as I was concerned, I put this basically as in this the overall everything thrown in, everything tabulated. There was nothing earth-shattering last night that is going to upset the standings as they are in a dramatic way. And everybody was hoping for that last night on the establishment side. The establishment side was hoping, and they have been hoping. They're hoping for one thing to happen that'll get rid of Donald Trump. And that didn't happen. And an assessment that I shared in the previous hour, I will repeat. For those of you in the establishment waiting for that one moment, I don't think that one moment is going to happen. If, capital I, capital F, if Trump is to lose his number one position here, it isn't going to be an overnight thing. It's going to be something that attrition, something that happens over time. When is the next debate? It's not anytime soon. It's like 6 weeks from now, right? So what's going to happen between now and the next debate that is going to cause a major shift? Now, this is not to say that individual candidates did not maybe gain ground or lose ground last night, but in terms of the overall makeup of the race, not much changed. Where you might have Carly Fiorina moving into second place now ahead of Ben Carson, and Christie might have moved up a notch or two. You might have Jeb Bush move up a point or two. Nobody knows yet until the polling data comes out on this. And then you have to decide whether or not that you want to believe that. Now, Carly Fiorina did well no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the pre-publicity was, just within that universe of 3 hours. It's undeniable she was on her game. She was ready to roll. She was competent. She was smart. She was well-spoken. There was only one moment where she appeared to be flustered at all, and that's when the moment in the debate where her CEO period of time at Hewlett-Packard came up. That's something, obviously, that is important to her. And it I want to say unnerves her, but it's the only point in the debate where I think she got a little bit self-conscious. So I really think the key to performing in things like this is being able to rid yourself of the self-consciousness that everybody has. It's a tough thing to do. And the success that one has in dropping the self-conscious. You've heard people say they're in the zone, athletes and other performers say, yeah, I was just in the zone. I can't tell you what it was like. I can't describe it. I was just in the zone. I mean, every pitch looked like a grapefruit. I couldn't miss it. I'm running the football, and there's nobody near me. No way I'm not catching that foot. No way I'm not scoring. Golfers, the same thing. The shot's going to end up 2 feet from the pin. I just know it. I'm in the zone. Well, speech makers and stage performers have the same types of night. They have the zone. And my contention is that when you're in the zone is when you're totally devoid of any self-consciousness. I think that is the great characteristic or talent or quality that really great actors have. If you are going to really convince people you are somebody else, you have to be able to totally abandon yourself in your own consciousness. Such things as worrying about how you look, worrying is your tie straight, worrying about how do I sound, not being distracted by somebody in the audience. That's a biggie. You're up there making a speech, you're answering a question in a debate, somebody frowns and the audience can take you off your game if you have not shed your self-consciousness. Self-consciousness also includes being concerned about what other people think, about what you're doing, what you look like, how you look compared to everybody else, because it ends up generally, the more self-conscious you are, the more hard on yourself you are, the more negative you are about yourself. Now, you may find that strange. The egomaniacs only love themselves. That's a different thing. Egomania, egoism is a different thing here than self-consciousness. That's its own psychological state. And that state really is one in which you're totally devoid of reality. Abandoning self-consciousness puts you right smack dab in the middle of reality. You are in the midst of it. And I think that's where she was last night. And what was amazing to me about it was that's exactly where she wanted to be. She had to have a pre-debate strategy, and I guarantee you in her camp, they hit a grand slam. You know how you can tell? She didn't hang around for the spin zone. She had no representatives in the spin zone. There wasn't anything else left to say. She just got out of there. Everybody else, some of the candidates, in fact, stayed, or their representatives were in the spin zone telling the media what they didn't hear. No, you didn't see my candidate fluff anything. No, you didn't see my candidate botch that. Let me tell you what you missed. Here's what happened. She had nobody in the spin zone. They just got out of there. In the inside baseball, ladies and gentlemen, it's called a drop the mic. I used to do it after every Rush to Excellence stage before you drop the mic, get out of there. There's nothing left to do. Hit a home run. Drop the mic, turn the mic off, take it off, throw it on the floor, get out of there. That's what she did. Drop the mic. So she She had to be feeling great today because she pulled off what she wanted to pull off. She had to. And if you recall, if you've been listening to this program any time for the regularity here for the past 3 to 4 months, today's not the first time I've touted Carly Fiorina. I touted her after the first pregame meal debate, where she didn't make the main stage. I thought she had some brilliant answers in that debate, particularly when she was talking about, again, the character of the United States and how we're losing that. I forget the exact quote. She said the Democrat Party is destroying the character of the United States of America. So it was a great answer. She went back to that when she linked Iran and Planned Parenthood in one answer. She was versed on foreign affairs. She was versed on foreign policy. She was versed on domestic policy. She had a clear answer on what she would do the first day, first hour, what have you. I mean, it was impressive. She was versed on military stuff. So that was, but so were a lot of the others. She wasn't alone last night. It's just the attention was on her because of the face comment. You can't deny this. And the looks thing, let me delve into that right now. This whole business, here, grab soundbite 9. This will help me get into it. This is Today's Show today. Savannah Guthrie interviewing Fiorina. When you say that women in this country heard what Donald Trump said and knew what he meant, let me push you on that a little further. What do you think women heard when Trump said that about you and your face?
Women are still caricatured and scrutinized and criticized differently. And I think it's only a woman who would be criticized for her appearance while running for the highest office in the land. And so I think women know that. Women deal with that every day. And so I think women understood.
I don't think it has the slightest thing to do with running for the presidency. If people make fun of people running for the presidency and their looks all the time, if it weren't for editorial cartoonists, what would we be? Editorial cartoonists lampoon the way people look every day. One of the best at it is Michael Ramirez. Michael Ramirez is some of the best editorial cartoons in this country. They are all made up of caricatures of people's appearance. It's not just women. Trump, and this is not to defend Trump, but how many people have made fun of Trump's hair? How many people have made fun of Trump's glare and lack of smiling? People's appearance is commented on all the time. People are laughing at Bernie Sanders' appearance. And if they're not laughing about it, they're commenting on it. The simple fact of the matter is, what Trump did in commenting on Carly Fiorina was violate something in the appropriate, inappropriate area that's not contained exclusively in politics. It's just considered in polite society that when one sees an Anglo-American, one doesn't say so. Whether you're in politics or whether you're at the bowling alley. Of course, at the bowling alley, you just don't say it. And that was the violation that Trump. It's not that she's running for president why you don't say it. And there's another reason why you don't say it. And not talking about Fiorina Trump here. I'm talking in general. Another reason why you don't say it is especially if it's true you don't say it. That's what'll kill you. Now, you may deny that. You sit there and now you can laugh on the other side of the glass all you want. I'm not talking about Trump Fiorina. I'm talking about relationships between people. Folks, I can tell you, I wish I could name names, but I can't. I've got good friends of mine. There's no way they're going to support somebody in this field. No way. Eyes are too close together. No way. Isn't going to happen. No matter what else. They openly tell me this. Now, if I were to name the people involved here, that would be inappropriate. I'm leaving you wondering, hanging, whatever. But my only point here is people do this all the time. Why do women wear makeup? Why do women shave their legs? It's all to improve their appearance, right? Is it not hopefully noticed. I mean, the effort is put in, is it not, so that people notice it? So people react to it, they comment on it, they see it, they register it. The inappropriateness is to describe it or talk about it or make reference to it, especially if it happens to be true. That's what violates the rule. All I'm saying is it's not possible. Just like this Democrat liberal pipe dream here about these are the people that run around and supposedly champion a colorblind society, and they talk about seeing people for what they were. They are the first people to judge and notice people on surface basis. Liberals are the first to notice if somebody's male or female, the first to notice if somebody's black or white, and then they judge them based on that alone. They're the biggest hypocrites in the world on all that. Fact of the matter is, I don't care. It's never going to happen. I am never not going to notice an attractive woman walking down the street or in a room where you have to lobotomize me. And you know why? Nature. It's the way God made us. It's the reason it just happens. And women are the same way, although maybe with different characteristics. But you cannot legislate that. You can't shame that. You can't wipe that out of human behavior, human existence. But I don't think Ms. Fiorina is correct here to say that she's the only one who's been made fun of because of the way she looks. It happens to everybody, and it happens to a lot of men. And not just running for office. I mean, I've had books written about the way I look. It happens. Never whine, moan, cry a tear about it at all. Anyway, now, I got to take a break here, but I'm going to dovetail from that into some of the high points for Fiorina as I heard it last night in the debate, some of her comments. But first, before that, I'm going to start getting to some of these people on the phone. Been waiting for a while. So sit tight. It all continues right after this. Don't go. To the phones we go, as I stated, George in San Francisco. Welcome, sir, to the EIB network. Hi.
Hello?
Hey, George, how are you?
Okay, I'm a little nervous. First off, I'd have to say mega dittos.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Next is, I'm going to preface it a bit because I've been listening to you from the beginning, and then you give me a 5-minute lecture on being myself by talking about how good politicians do that. So I'm going to try not to think of pink elephants here. But I think Donald Trump is just brilliant at taking them out of their game. And I think that's exactly what he did with this thing about Figurina and her appearance. When he answers her by saying, I think you're beautiful, I think he's just placing it on the level. If you're going to deal on that level, it's a PC thing. And he's been bucking PC from the beginning.
Yeah.
And
let me tell you how this whole thing started. Trump, it was at the end of a long day, and Trump's on his jet watching TV. And Fiorina pops up on TV. There's some media people. He said, hey, look at that at the end. Who are you looking at? Who would ever vote for that? But it's just Trump being Trump. In private moments, some media people heard it, and it ends up being major news. He did not say it in a campaign appearance. He didn't say it talking about her on the stump or any of that. He was sitting around watching TV after dinner on his jet after a long day, was letting his hair down. He made fun of how slow Scott Walker is at the same time. Yeah, but nobody, no outrage about that. It's just, and I think the she's beautiful thing last night. I could probably explain that. I don't know that I should take the time to do it. I don't think enough people would understand, given the heightened political correctness that exists today. But I don't think he was trying to be offensive at all. I think it was his sort of lame way of trying to take it back. Salvana in San Diego, you're next. It's great to have you on the EIB network. Hello.
Yes, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to make a comment about this Donald Trump Fiorina issue. First of all, that's not a big issue for me. But anyway, my take on this is this. Fiorina is not really dealing with that issue. To me, it almost looks like she's whining about it and looking for sympathy from other women. Look how mean Donald Trump is for me. He's picking on my looks. To me, dealing with it would be for her to be strong, stand up and say, yeah, I'm an ugly broad. But what that means is that I got where I am, not based on my looks or anything else on the outside, my skin color, my ethnicity, any of that stuff. I got where I am based on what I have inside, my spirit, my intelligence, strength of my character. That's what matters, not if somebody thinks that I'm beautiful or not.
All right, so let me go back to the beginning of what you said. You think that she's beginning to play the gender card here, and it doesn't make you comfortable, right?
Correct. Yeah, it doesn't make me happy at all. I want to see a strong woman that doesn't get rattled by stuff like, oh, you're ugly. That's small stuff.
Yeah, but you don't really expect her to stand up there and say, okay, look, let's be honest, I'm an ugly broad, like you said. You don't think she's going to stand up there and say that.
But I think she would win over a lot of women. It would be funny. It would show how self-confident she is.
Well, okay, I'll give you an example. She had, when the question came up about putting a woman on the dollar bill, you remember that in the debate?
Yes, I do, yes.
And everybody, I would put my mother, I would put my first daughter, I would put Margaret Thatcher. And here comes the woman. You know what she said?
Well, she said that she wouldn't change the bill.
Right, don't screw with it. We don't need to be changing our history for crying out loud. And what does it matter?
Yes.
She was being, why do we need to pander to women? And yet you think she is by playing this gender card. And you, I can tell what you say. You think she's trying to get sympathy from other women, right? You don't like it.
I don't, yes.
All right. Well, so you weren't that impressed with that then at the end of the whole thing?
No. And, neither one of those two. I'm not a Donald Trump. I'm not Fiorina. I'm still kind of looking. I have another candidate that I'm interested in, but I'm still kind of relatively fluid.
Okay, good. Well, that's perfectly fine this far out. You still got a lot of candidates to be fluid with or about until you have to make up your mind out there. But this business that, only women get made fun of in presidential, come on, that's not true. No, I have not forgotten. I've got these two. Actually, I got three things. The head of the Nobel Committee, there's a new book out claiming that the guy that was head of the Nobel Committee back in 2008 regrets giving Obama the Peace Prize. And then we have what Obama is doing to the Pope on his visit, the official list of invited guests to meet the Pope. This is just, even for Obama, this is beyond the pale. Unless, of course, the Pope is part of the deal, which I wouldn't rule out. And then, of course, the story is coming up, and in fact, with a couple of pictures I'm even going to show you on the Ditto Cam, just to illustrate this 14-year-old kid arrested in Texas for bringing what people thought was a bomb to school. It turned out to be a clock. And I'm just telling you that the picture of this clock that the drive-by media is showing you is not the whole truth. It's just one little piece of what was inside a suitcase. Who brings a clock anywhere in a suitcase or a large briefcase? Now, the school might have jumped the gun on this, but the cops did not do anything wrong. After Columbine, after all these things that have happened, it looked like a freaking bomb. Even after it was opened, it looked like a bomb. It doesn't. I'm looking at it right now. It does not look like a clock. And don't you know the kid's been invited to bring the thing to the White House? So that's all coming up. But I'm going to just stay focused here because I've still got a lot of people on the line that want to weigh in on the debate, such as John in Boston. John, great to have you on the EIB network. Hello.
Hi, Rush. Mega Dittos. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
I need your opinion, if you could. I kind of thought that I was hearing things when I heard Jeb Bush praising Chief Justice John Roberts. Was I, and what's your opinion if I was hearing correctly?
You heard Jeb Bush praise John Roberts, yeah. Why wouldn't he?
Well, I don't know if you're saying that with a little bit of levity there, but you know, as Justice Scalia said, they should change the name of Obamacare to SCOTUS Care. The abortion issue and the same-sex marriage issue. If he was at a Republican meeting, if he was at a Democrat meeting last night, I would say he would be justified in praising Chief Justice Roberts.
Well, he had to praise Chief Justice Roberts. His brother nominated him. He's not going to criticize W.
Well, I don't know if you remember or if you go back this far, but
wait a minute. What are you frowning at me for?
Well,
he knows his own man, but he's not going to rip his brother's choice of Chief Justice. It isn't going to happen. Just like when Trump. What do you think it is? Let me ask you this, John. You're talking about Roberts. How about when Trump dumped all over W in the last 3 months of his administration? Is the worst 3 months we've ever had, and gave us the Democrats and gave us Obama and all that.
Well, I think there's some truth to that. And when you get to Trump, he was at least man enough to say that he opposed the combat in Iraq.
Right.
And I agree with you and most everybody else that the problem was compounded when Obama left Iraq. But one mistake begat another mistake. The original mistake was Bush going into Iraq, and then it was compounded by Obama leaving Iraq. So, you could say it's a wash, except,
No, you can't. No, you can't. Because look, the mature way to look at this is, okay, even if you believe that Bush botched it by going into Iraq, it doesn't erase the fact that we're there. And if you're Obama, it doesn't erase the fact that we're there when you assume office. And it doesn't erase the fact that Iraq is fairly stable when you assume office. And when you take no action to maintain that and cause Iraq to go back over the cliff and give us ISIS, that is on you and not on W. It's unfair to spread this around to W. I mean, maybe you want to, if you want to go back, well, we wouldn't have been there at all. But the ultimate responsibility on a mature human being, Obama should have realized, okay, I may not like any of this, but this is what I inherited. I ran for this job. I wanted this job. I told everybody the world was going to be safer with me in this place. So here it is. And he's got a situation here that he totally botched, threw it overboard, and we got ISIS and we got Middle East hellhole now. We had the Muslim Brotherhood and the Arab Spring all given us by Obama. You can get mad at W all you want for this, but it doesn't exonerate Obama at all.
Well, I agree with you. There's no argument for me on that. But like I say, the original sin, if you want to call it that, was, W didn't. He should, to borrow a phrase from Harry Truman, it was "Show me I'm from Missouri." And if W had exercised that with the weapons of mass destruction, right, we probably wouldn't have been in there. So I'm not justifying Obama. He's totally wrong. I mean, the man is a wuss. I mean, there's no getting away from that. Look at the situation we are in the entire world now. We're Putin and everything going on in the Middle East. I lay that all at his feet. But the original sin, I hate to say it, but it goes back to W.
Well, if you want to trace it back there, you can. But where do you stop then?
Well, now that's what I think Trump will cure if he gets elected.
Trump won't what?
I say I think that's what Trump will cure.
Yeah.
If he gets elected.
Oh, no question about that.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
Just one other thing. I know you got a bunch of calls, Rush, but as much as I like Ben Carson, and I think I can say this, I like him because he is black. Now, if that makes me a racist, I'm sorry. But
wait a minute. You You switched gears on me here.
Well, I did.
You like Ben Carson because he's black?
Yes.
Well, you can say that. You're from Boston.
Okay. Does that make me? Do you think that makes me a racist?
Well, depends on who's judging.
Well, I'm Caucasian.
No. It depends on who's. Like, if a Democrat hears you say that, it depends on.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, if a Republican hears you say that, yeah, it might be considered racist. If a black guy hears you say that, yeah, it'd be considered racist.
Well. So, I'm not going to apologize. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But the only reason that I'm a little bit apprehensive about Dr. Carson is the fact that he is a doctor, and doctors are inherently liberal.
Well, he's not.
Well, I hope you're right.
Don't doubt. Let me ask you a question about Boston, okay, John?
Oh, no, you don't want to ask me a question. I was born and raised and educated here.
And you're the perfect guy to answer my question.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
I've only been to Boston one time, and it was for a funeral. I was only there 2 or 3 days. But it seems like, John, when I watch television, it seems like, I don't care whether it's Ray Donovan or whether it's a Ben Affleck, what's the other guy? His buddy, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. When I watched, seems like everybody in South Boston is a crime boss. Is that true?
A crime boss? Is that what you say?
Is every Southie Whitey Bulger? I mean, or a Sully Sullivan? Is it a place you just do not want to end up if you happen to go to Boston?
Absolutely not. Like I say, I'm an old guy, and I was born here, raised, and educated. And the saddest thing about Boston is when I grew up here and went to school and had neighbors in the city. Now I'm talking about in the city.
Right.
Everything was common sense. It wasn't Democrat. It wasn't
but I just want to. You do not think I'm a bigot for asking that, right?
No.
All right, cool. We've solved everything here. Then we'll be back after this, folks. Don't go away. Your guiding light. Times of trouble, confusion, murkiness, tumult, and chaos. Isn't even the good times. Here's Dave, Raleigh, North Carolina. You're next, sir. Welcome. I'm glad you waited. Hi.
Hi, Rush. It's an honor.
Thank you, sir.
I thought the upper card debate was excellent, but one of the best moments of last night came from the undercard debate when Bobby Jindal called out Lindsey Graham for being part of a do-nothing Congress and failing to push back against Obama. And Lindsey Graham's response, he got flustered. He started whining about the fact that anything they do, Obama's going to veto. He doesn't want to jeopardize the next election.
Yeah.
And Jindal replied and said, I just wish that the Senate Republicans had half the fight in them that the Senate Democrats did.
True. I've heard, we all have, the latest, and it always involves a shutdown. It always involves, we can't do that because they'll shut down the government, and we'll get blamed for that, and that ruins our chances in 2016. And it's almost an oath. It's almost an oath that these inside the Beltway establishment guys have to swear to. And that is, we will work with Democrats, and we will not shut down the government, and we will not do things that will cause a presidential veto, and we will. Because they all say it. They all repeat it. And they use it as an excuse for not doing anything. And what's worse, they say, we only have the House right now. We can't do it until you give us the Senate. So we gave them the Senate. Now they're saying, well, we need the White House. We really can't do anything with Obama in the White House. And what it all adds up to is, I think, Dave, is they just don't want to do the heavy lifting. It's hard. It's hard being in the opposition. It's hard taking the fight to the opposition. And I just don't think they really want to do it. They don't see any upside in it. And here again, the reason they don't is because the donors don't want to see. It goes back to what I talked about at the very beginning of this program. And let me make this point again. And it's one of the reasons why outsiders in this campaign are really doing well. Most people in this country vote on the basis of ideas. They want their ideas to triumph. They want their ideas to be implemented. ideas and ideals. And for the longest time in this country, that is what people thought made the difference in winning and losing. Who had the best ideas and who was best at explaining and emphasizing and inspiring with those ideas. And it's not that long ago where ideas were a factor. You don't have to go back any further than 2007. In 2007, the American people shut down a Republican Congress and a Republican president on a comprehensive immigration reform with what? Faxes, phone calls, and emails. That's not that long ago, folks. 8 years ago. Faxes, phone calls, and emails still go to Washington, probably in greater volume today than they did even in 2007. It doesn't matter. What matters today? The donor class. The money. So your inside the Beltway politicians, ideas are irrelevant. They don't matter because there isn't money behind them. Well, there is, but it can't compete with the donor class. You're giving $5, $10, $15. The donor class are hundreds of thousands. And so people remembered not that long ago where ideas were what mattered and made the difference in who wins and loses in Washington. But now it's money. Ergo, the American people are choosing people on the outside, warming up to people on the outside who have been able to make the case that money is not a factor. They can't be bought. They're not using it to buy anything. They're just going to triumph with their ideas. Believe me, it matters. Back after this, my friends. Okay, changing gears just a bit in the monologue section of the next hour. This ragtag group of people Obama's invited to meet the Pope in Washington, and a 14-year-old kid arrested for bringing a clock to Screwel in Texas. Anyway, details on those and more coming up. The Federal Reserve has just announced no change in interest rates are leaving them where they are at zero, which means the New York finance and Wall Street guys still don't have enough money. It also means the economy's still in pretty bad shape. They've got to leave interest rates at zero. Those are the two things it means. Somebody in the Hamptons wants to get enough money to buy a $155 million house. And throw parties. Greetings. Great to have you. Rush Limbaugh on the EIB network. Great to have you back. 800-282-2882. I want to try to race through some things here. Only one big exciting broadcast hour remaining. I turned the ditto cam on, zoomed in. I didn't mean to turn the ditto cam on. I meant to keep it off because I've got some pictures I'm going to show you in a minute. What did that look like? Oh, gee. I'm sorry about that, folks. You had to be freaking out there. Just be patient. I've got some things I got to hold up here, and I had to zoom the ditto cam in on them so that you can see them. Despite attempts to drive, this is a Breitbart story. Texas boy arrested because of zero-tolerance policies, not Islamophobia. That's the headline of this particular Breitbart story. What happened was this. A young student, 14-year-old man named Mohammed, built a clock for a project of some kind, took it to school. And when the authorities saw it, they got scared. Understand this. Schools have been targets, and therefore schools are at heightened awareness, and they have been conditioned to be very intolerant of anybody. I mean, how many times have we heard of a kid getting sent home from school because he made a finger or made a gun out of the shape of his finger? You know, the schools are very intolerant. So they saw this thing and said, whoa, ho, 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 and the kid got arrested. Despite attempts to drive the arrest of an Irving teenager into a case of Islamophobia, Irving School District spokeswoman Leslie Weaver pointed news media to the district student code of conduct during a press conference held in Mohammed's arrest over a home experiment that he called a clock, but appeared to be a hoax bomb. The Irving Student Code of Conduct includes a whole slew of potential violations written in accordance with the state's 1995 Safe Schools Act. The code addresses threats, hoaxes, and perceived and sometimes even discretionary threats and their harsh blanket consequences. Just days ago, officials in Maryland charged a 13-year-old boy with assault for stealing a kiss from a 14-year-old girl. Zero tolerance also resulted in a Texas 9-year-old suspension over a Lord of the Rings magic ring, if you remember that. Now, at the press conference, Leslie Weaver said that the district always asks students and staff to immediately report any suspicious items or behaviors to campus officials. If something is out of the ordinary, that information is given to school administrators or the cops so that it can be addressed right away, Weaver told the news media. At the presser, Irving Police Chief Larry Boyd pointed out that the images of what Mohammed brought to school that surfaced in news reports and over social media were not the suspicious-looking item he brought to school. The kid brings a hoax bomb to school, complete with briefcase. It is later discovered it's just a clock. And now everybody's embarrassed. Oh, my God, look what we've done. We stigmatized poor Mohammed. Oh, my God, look at us. Oh, how horrible are we? And Mohammed got sent home. His arrest has been cleared up now. And the media is putting out a picture of what he took to school that isn't what he took to school. Well, it's not the whole thing. And the upshot is that Obama has now invited the kid to the White House. He's not invited the family of Kate Steinle to the White House. Shot, killed by an illegal immigrant in Sanctuary City in San Francisco. And now, here is, for those of you watching on the Ditto Cam, sorry, most radio shows have a TV switcher to do this, but I'm doing it all by myself. Here we go. And, yeah, there you go. That's Muhammad and his, it's not his wife, is it? It's his little sister. And that, you see, he's holding his, does that look like a clock to you? Well, that's Muhammad, innocent Muhammad. That's his clock. It doesn't, you know what that looks like? It looks like the first motherboard to an Apple II computer invented by Steve Wozniak. It looks like a very rudimentary 1970s computer PC board. I don't see a clock there. Okay. It'll come off. Well, that's why you take that to the airport, see what happens to you. But no, this is what he walked into school with. That is an open briefcase with what I just showed you inside with a whole bunch of other things in there. To the uneducated, untrained eye, this looks like a bomb. It looks like a timer of some sort. But whatever, this is not a clock. As the media is reporting. The media is telling you that poor Muhammad, all he did was take his science project to school. It was a clock. And these racist, homophobic Irving school people, look what they did. And they called the cops, and the cops arrested him, and he's been stigmatized. That. Try getting that through Homeland Security. The Secret Service is going to let this in because Obama's invited him to bring this thing to the White House. So there you have it. Now I'm turning a Ditto Cam off, and we will have these pictures. Coco will take stills and put them up at rushlimbaugh.com for those of you who don't have the Ditto Cam. The Ditto Cam is for members only. It's television. You can watch this program take place live. You can do it on our website. You can do it on the rushlimbaugh.com app, which is the greatest way in the world to do it. The iOS App Store and at the Android app. What's that, Google Play? Google Play Store? We have an Android version of our app, don't we? It's over my protest, but I think we have it. Anyway, Coco will have the pictures if you don't have the Ditto Cam. Ditto Cam's for subscribers only. Now, the argument is raging here over what happened. How in the world can something like, how could we end up stigmatizing this poor kid? And so people have gone back and have recreated from history things that students have been sent home from school for or not allowed in school for. Pop-Tart guns, keychain charms. We have seen this story. No charges for this. This kid's name is Ahmed Mohammed, by the way. Charges will not be filed against. He's a 14-year-old Muslim high school student arrested after he brought in a homemade clock that a teacher said looked like a bomb. And legal insurrection, which is a very, very great and eminently qualified legal website, Legal Insurrection, has spent countless posts covering zero-tolerance insanity on school campuses all over the country. Kindergartners have been sent home for using their hands to pretend to be firing a gun. 13-year-old with a toy AK-47 has been shot and killed by the cops. And then a 10-year-old boy suspended for pointing a finger like a gun. A 12-year-old Rhode Island student suspended for small keychain gun. Oklahoma's teachers union seeks to keep zero-tolerance rules banning imaginary guns. Everybody has become so sensitized to this because of the actual shootings at schools that there has become a zero tolerance. And so the point here is that the effort is being made to blame school officials and the cops for Islamophobia here. And that is not what is going on. Zero tolerance policies at schools, which are the direct result of previous incidents, and the zero tolerance is out of control, such as pretending to shoot a gun with your finger that gets you sent home, is what's responsible here. That's just the latest example, and it's made to order for Obama because here we have, once again, backlash against Muslims, you see. That's what this really is. So Obama will be able to make a speech about how dangerous this is, how unfortunate it is, how sorry it is. Innocent little 14-year-old Ahmed Mohammed. They're a brilliant science project, a brilliant clock, a new way of doing a clock. Yeah, one looks just like a bomb in a briefcase. Obama gets to bring him to the White House, make a star out of him, make a Obama star shine even brighter. And once again, bottom line, characterize the United States as a racist and bigoted country. And Obama, by the way, he's also out there. He's getting impatient with these Republican debates. He says he's tired of listening to these guys run down America. You believe it? Barack Obama tired of hearing Republicans rip and criticize and run down America? Back after this. Don't go away. Half my brain tied behind my back just to be fair with everybody, and particularly any liberals that happen to get through. Happy to have you here, folks. 800-282-2882. By the way, the police say that they only arrested 14-year-old Ahmed Mohammed because he could not explain to them what his thing was. Why couldn't he tell them it was just a clock? And I suspect one of the reasons is it didn't look like a clock. A clock can be many things. A clock can be a timer. It can be sundial. But if you look at the two pictures that we have here, there's nothing here that makes you think this is a clock. Maybe a timer in there, but you can't even see that. It was only after he could not explain to the police that they arrested him. Why couldn't he explain it? When something like this happens in our country today, as litigious as we are, I can't help but wonder if maybe there's now a lawsuit waiting to be filed for what? The magic words, civil rights violations? Religious discrimination, you name it. And, of course, zero tolerance, which is at fault here. Zero tolerance been brought to us by who? The gun grabbers. That'd be a good title for a book. The gun grabbers. Anyway, here's John in Shelbyville, Kentucky, as we head back to the phones. I'm glad you called, sir. Nice to have you with us. Hello.
Thanks, Rush. Thanks for taking my call. So I guess full disclosure, I'm probably a bit to the left of most of your listeners. I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter, and I don't normally think very much of Donald Trump. And I've actually, for a long time, thought that Ben Carson seemed like sort of an adult senator, one of the few. But I was amazed last night because there was a point during the exchange between Donald Trump and Ben Carson where I think Donald Trump actually made himself look pretty reasonable and made Ben Carson look a little bit insane. And that was, I'm talking about when they were talking about the graduated tax system. Ben Carson came out and said that something like a progressive tax system is an element of socialism, which is obviously insane, and Donald Trump called him out on it. I guess I'm just wanting to get your commentary on what you have to say about Donald Trump sort of splitting from the Republican line like that.
Okay, I had real trouble. You're on a cell phone, and I'm having to follow you here on transcription. So I'm just now getting. You want to get my commentary on what I have to say about Trump splitting from the Republican line? Okay, that's where I didn't get. What did Trump split from the line on?
So I guess most Republicans I've heard say that something like a progressive tax system, which aims to redistribute wealth, is something to do with socialism, which obviously it isn't. And that's what I've heard a lot of Republicans say. And it was interesting to hear Donald Trump come out and say that's actually not true, which it's not true. I guess really I'm just asking what you think about Donald Trump splitting from the unified line that Republicans give that progressive tax code is socialist.
This is why I'm kind of I'm hedging or hesitating here because I don't remember what Trump said other than he's going to go after the hedge fund guys.
Right.
I'm going to be honest with you. I gave up on this debate at 10 and 20-minute splotches about 2 hours and 10, 15 minutes into it. I got up and started doing other things. Yesterday was iOS 9 day, guys, and frankly, I wanted to play with some things on my iPhone, and I figured 2 hours and 10 minutes was plenty of devotion. So I got up. I must have missed this. I must have missed this exchange between Carson and Trump on taxes. I'm not trying to evade you. I didn't.
No.
Did Trump say that he is in favor of a graduated income tax and the rich should pay more?
Exactly. That's you have summarized it perfectly.
That's what he said. Did he say the rich aren't paying enough now?
Well, all he said was that a graduated tax system is what we've had for a long time. He's right. It's been over 100 years, and it was Abraham Lincoln who imposed the first progressive tax system. And his point was just that we've had it for a long time. We haven't been a socialist country for 100 years, so it stands to reason that this is not actually a socialist thing, as Ben Carson was suggesting, and as I've heard many Republicans suggest.
Okay, I'm still having. I can't understand what he's saying. Ben. Okay. So what? I hate this. Is embarrassing for me. I'm trying to associate what you're saying with the fact that you said you support Bernie Sanders. I heard it. So I'm wondering if you're. I really can't understand a word you're saying. This is a great. You're on a bad cell connection, and I'm having to follow this on a transcription of what you're saying. Plus, I'm hampered by not knowing what happened here. So right, I'm trying to put all this together, and I'm asking myself: are you doing a gotcha on me? Or are you actually asking an open-ended question about? So what?
I certainly wasn't trying to do any sort of gotcha. It was something that I haven't heard a Republican say, and I know that you've been, I guess, more fair with Donald Trump than most commentators have been. And I thought that it would be interesting to hear what you have to say about this sort of interesting line that Donald Trump.
Okay, then let me just assume that what maybe some people are going to confirm. Did Trump? I've heard him say he wants to raise taxes on the hedge fund guys, get rid of carried interest because they're getting away with murder. Beyond that, did Trump? What did Ben Carson? Just somebody tell me what Ben Carson said. Just what did he say? Not you, John. Not you. What had been? Okay, fair tax, single rate or two rate tax at 50. So Carson. Okay. Okay. So the progressive. Oh. Okay. So we got a Bernie Sanders guy here ticked off that Carson called a progressive tax system socialist. So the Bernie Sanders guys ticked off about that, or not ticked off, but that got his. So here comes Trump basically agreeing with him and Sanders. Is that right? Trump says it's not. Okay, so Trump says it's not socialist, and John here likes that. So you okay now, because you started out by saying you thought Trump you sounded more reasonable than Carson did, because Trump agrees with you. You want the rich soaked, and you think you heard Trump say that he wants the rich soaked, and that's the way America's always done it. So now you want my reaction to that. Is that it?
Not exactly. I actually supported Ben Carson.
Are you telling me we're still not there yet? I'll be so patient here trying to get this done.
Okay, so what was your question?
I just want to know, do I understand what you're asking me now?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you've misrepresented anything that I said.
Okay, if Trump is opposed to the fair tax, or if Trump is okay with the current graduated tax and doesn't want to do anything about it, I thought I heard him say last night that we're overtaxed. I thought I heard him say last night that he wants a middle class tax cut, but he doesn't want to do anything with the top marginal rates. Apparently, he wants to have the hedge fund guys. I'm still hampered here by not knowing precisely what Trump said. Here it is. We've had a graduated tax system for many years. That's not a socialistic thing. What I'd like to do, putting a plan about 2 weeks, I think people are going to like it. It's a major reduction in taxes, major reduction for the middle class. The hedge fund guys won't like me as much as they do. And he didn't condemn the graduated tax system. Well, look, now I'm down to 5. John, do not turn the radio off. I'm going to answer this after the break. I'm sorry it took me this long to get to where you started. Back after this. That's right. The saga continues. Okay. I have now availed myself of the transcript of the portion of the debate I was asked about. And the nub of it is Ben Carson claims that the graduated tax system is socialistic. I'll tell you where that comes from. A lot of people do. And you can find references to it in the famous Communist Manifesto. Communist Manifesto has 10 things that if you accomplish all of them, you have succeeded in converting your society to socialism on the way to communism. Graduated income tax is one of them. Public education is another. Probably many of you are very well aware of this. Where were these guys last night? These guys were in a Reagan library. What did Ronald Reagan do? When Ronald Reagan took office in 1981, the top marginal tax rate was 90%. And the amount of money raised by the tax code was about $500 billion back then. When Reagan left office in 1989, there were 3 tax rates. Essentially 2, but there was a 31% bubble in there. But the top 90%, that marginal rate of 90% had been dropped to 28%. And the amount of money generated by the tax code had doubled, almost $1 billion by reducing tax rates. So the history of the conservatism in the Republican Party where taxes are concerned is to reduce rates, reduce marginal rates, have as few brackets as possible. And, of course, the fair tax or flat tax variation of the two is now popular. It doesn't serve any purpose whether graduated tax is socialistic or not. Ben Carson said it is. Trump disagreed. On this, I'd have to say that it doesn't. It talks about raising taxes on the hedge fund guys, which is carried interest, and he says he knows a lot of people making $200 million who are not paying much tax, and that isn't fair. And that is indeed the kind of talk you do hear from people in the Democrat Party and on the left. And it usually is uttered by people who are trying to build a bridge of commonality. Hey, man, I understand your plight. You know, I'm a rich guy, but, you know, I don't think we rich people should be getting away scot-free. We should be paying more taxes and so forth. I don't know if Trump was doing that, if he really believes that we need more rates and higher rates. But if he does believe that, then I would disagree with that profoundly. No way on earth do we need to enhance the graduated income tax system and start raising rates. It does not create more revenue. It doesn't punish anybody, especially now since all the deductions are gone. Nobody ever paid that 90% rate. The whole point, a marginal rate is what you pay on the last dollar you earn. The way the rates are structured, you don't pay 90% on everything. Back in the day where the 90% rate was a top rate, let's say there were 8 brackets. Let's say there was 10%, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, go all the way up to 90. But you had to earn, back when that rate was in effect, I don't know, I'm guessing, $300,000 before the 90% rate kicked in. It was only on the amount of money you earned above the previous bracket. It wasn't 90% of everything. But there were all kinds of shelters and deductions back then, and that's what Reagan simplified. Got rid of all that with just 2 rates, 15 and 28%. And revenue doubled. Now, there was a bubble for some people at 31%, depending on where their income fell, but it was basically a 15 and 28%. And then everybody predicted, once Reagan left, that was the Tax Reform Act of 1986. When Reagan left, here came the increases again, minus the deductions. And now we're up to 39.6. The top marginal rate was 35. And it doesn't need to go any higher. Carried interest, hedge fund guys, Trump has a point there. Those people are paying 15%. It's just a name. Carried interest is just a title so that they're not charged with earned income. Carried interest, it's meant to confuse people. It's the industry taking care of itself. It's like doctors speaking doctorese, lawyers speaking lawyerese. This is finance guys speaking financeese. What's carried interest? Well, carried interest is where you make interest here, but you don't take the charge. You carry it over to the next, and you keep carrying it, keep deferring the taxes, you carry the interest, and finally you don't pay taxes until you have gotten rid of a lot of the interest that you've carried, the income, so that you're really reducing what's taxable. It's a convoluted thing. It's simply a way to pay taxes at 15%. And that's what Trump is talking about. And my guess is he's had some hedge fund guys. Some people think all they do is sit on their butts and siphon off money that they get other people to give them in forms of investments or whatever. It takes all kinds of people with all kinds of opinions about people. I have no thoughts on hedge fund guys. I don't deal with them, so. And not every one of them is a billionaire, another popular misconception, but it has long been a focus of many people, particularly, except you don't hear many Democrats talking about carried interest, do you? You don't hear many Democrats trying to get the carried interest eliminated and Obama surely didn't. He might have given it lip service now and then, but never made a move on it. Those are his voters. Those are his donors. I mean, who do you think the donor class is? Carried interest guys. Not just carried interest guys, but a lot of them are in the donor class. And Trump has signaled that he's going after those people. He's not going to be beholden to them. He doesn't want their money, and he's tired of them running the show in Washington. So I think in that sense it makes sense that he's going after carried interest. If he wants to raise everybody's marginal rates outside the middle class, no. That's not. I mean, it's not helpful to the economy. It's not helpful to anybody. There's no reason. Ronald Reagan. He never said it, but the whole point was, why are we going to punish achievement? Which is what the Democrat Party does. Why are we going to stigmatize achievement? You run around and tell the successful they're not paying their fair share. The successful, you know what we're up to now? What is it? The top 10% are paying almost 50% of all taxes, or maybe it's top 1% are paying 40, something like that, and then maybe it's the top 10 paying 60 or 70. All I know is the bottom 50% are paying zero. So, John, I hope that answers the question. I'm sorry it took 25 minutes here, folks, but that's my hearing and not. That was a great example. That's the kind of that's why I do not do TV, because that's what people sound like on an IFB. That's why I don't use the phone, because that's what cell phone calls sound like to me. And I caught maybe one of every 8 words he uttered. It just sounded like the wind was blowing through everything he said. It's like it was on mic, then off mic. Here's Charles in Columbus, Ohio. Hey, Charles, welcome back. Great to have you on the EIB network. Hello.
How you doing, sir? Nice to talk with you.
You bet. Thank you.
Long-time listener and a big fan, first-time caller. I got a question in regards to Rubio. I don't understand why nobody is asking him this question. Hopefully you can help me with it. Rubio, during the immigration debate a couple years ago, whenever it was, he told the American public one thing, and then he goes to Spanish-speaking TV and says the exact opposite, basically lying to the American public. Why does nobody ask Rubio about that? I don't understand.
I didn't know he had done that. He did address last night his early involvement with the Gang of Eight plan, that he had tried to go about it a certain way and learned that he couldn't, and now he's on to a different way. I didn't. This is the first I've heard that he had gone on Spanish language media and told a completely different story. If I've heard that, I may have forgotten it, but it doesn't ring a bell.
Yes, sir, he sure did. I mean, he told the American public one thing. He said, they must build a fence. There will be no mandatory way for people to get into America. Then he gets into the Spanish-speaking television. I think it was Telemundo. I'm not positive about that, but Spanish-speaking television did an interview there, and he said the exact opposite. I mean, last night he said on his during the debate that he speaks Spanish at these things so that he can make sure that what's being said to the listeners in Spanish is what he wants to say and not what the interpreters are saying. Okay, but does he not think that people don't know what he has said to them, that he can lie to the American
I don't know.
public?
You look at where he is in the polls. Maybe they do. Who do you support in this thing?
I'm kind of torn between it. I like Ben Carson. I like what he has to say. I do kind of like I don't know, Farino or whatever her name is. But I just don't know. I mean, right now, if I have to say anything, it'd be Dr. Carson.
Well, I don't know about last night, but Rubio has been creamed for his dual stance on immigration. He's been creamed. I don't know about Spanish language, but he's been creamed for being part of the Gang of Eight. And he's still trying to explain that to people. It's not that he has gotten a pass on that. Believe me, he hasn't. And it's clear as a bell what happened on that. He's new, he's young, he's Hispanic, and they went after him. And they said, this is a guy, if we get him on our team, can help sell this because he's a conservative, he's got credibility. And I think he got roped into something, and he didn't understand it till it was too late, and then bumped out of it. My best analysis here. But the Daily Caller, no, you're right. The Daily Caller, and it was in April of this year, said that in a Spanish interview, Marco Rubio says it's important not to cancel Obama's executive amnesty. I did not know that. You have alerted me to something I did not know that happened. But I do know that he's taken heat for being part of the Gang of Eight. He tried to address it last night, but you may be able to answer your question by looking at the standings here. And Marco, he got some great reviews last night, but look, it's like anything else, Charles. If he starts climbing the ranks, somebody's going to ask him that at some point. It's still early. It's not like the election's tomorrow and somebody's blown an opportunity. Everybody needs to chill here. Whoever you hate, somebody's going to go after him. You can be confident of that. No, it will. Last night, CNN obviously wanted to pit Trump against Jeb. And then Carly Fiorina kind of screwed that plan up, but CNN went with it. Because it still fit the bill. No. There's no question last night Carly Fiorina's star shone brighter than anybody. There's no question about it. But we're nowhere near the end of this. There's still much to happen here, and none of it predictable. So all in all, it was a good night for conservatism, provided those articulating it mean it, which is always what's up for grabs. And we will see you tomorrow. Adios.